RealtyWealth has launched a U.S. commercial real estate investment platform in South Africa, the first of its kind. Joining us in our Cape Town studio is Bryan Smith, co-founder of RealtyWealth. Good to have you with us today, Bryan. Maybe if you can tell us about the level of interest that you have received from some South African investors, which encouraged you to launch this platform.
Thanks, Gugulethu. Yeah, it's exciting times since I last spoke to Alec. We've now launched our US-based commercial real estate platform in the US called RealtyWealth.com. It's essentially we've created two firsts. So we first in the US market online platform to introduce these passive net lease commercial real estate to investors. It's backed by credit-rated tenants like Starbucks, Walgreens, KFC, and we're also first online platform to introduce these real estate investments to foreign investors, South Africa, China, and India.
When we spoke to you in April, you were from Black Star Property. Now you're RealtyWealth. What happened?
Well, we're still Black Star Properties, but our trading name, our platform, our investment online platform name is RealtyWealth.com.
So it's really an update on what you were talking to us about at that stage, and I think you said Burger King and McDonald's outlets, nice, steady, solid leases. You now can give South Africans the opportunity to invest in that opportunity. What kind of yields and how much do you need to put up?
The yields range, so they start from about 5% and go up to about 8–9%. Interest rates in the US, debt interest rates are obviously attractive at the moment. So what we look to do is 50% loan to value, very conservative. That obviously pushes up your IRR. So if you're getting a 5% yield and you've got a 50% loan to value of debt, that pushes up your IRR up to 6.5% yield. So, I mean, it's a good opportunity for South African investors because of the long-term leases, the credit-rated tenants that can typically back these properties. You know, a net lease property, the tenant is responsible for all the expenses. So they pay the insurance, they pay the maintenance, they pay all the utilities, etc. So for a passive investor, passive foreign investor, it makes a lot of sense. You know, they typically don't have to worry about the maintenance. They don't have to worry about the management fees that typically go along with a real estate product like this. And
the other part of the question, how much do you need to put up as a South African investor?
So these investments typically start at $1 million. And they've been the domain of REITs, institutions. What we've done is we've broken them down into, call it small size investments for the average investor. So on our platform, the minimum investment is $5,000. So for a South African investor, I mean, they can use their discretionary allowance, and they can, they can invest in multiple type properties if they want to diversify from that point of view.
Well, you got Gugu really excited when you were talking about $1 million investment. She wanted to see your client list. But at $5,000, I suppose it's not that heavy, 50,000 Rand a time. And you go online and Bob's your uncle. What security do you have, though, as an investor that Bryan Smith's not going to run away with your money?
Well, I think the US crowdfunding industry is becoming very regulated. I know in South Africa and a lot of the other countries, it's not yet regulated, but it's regulated by the FSB. It's typically these type of investments. I mean, what we will do is we will invest in the property. We'll sign up a deal on the property. We'll put it onto the platform. We'll raise whatever the amount of funding is that we're looking for. That'll all sit in an FDIC insured bank account, escrow account, and when we've raised sufficient funds, that property will then close. It's a direct investment into the property, so it's not a fund. It's not It's not in multiple properties. Essentially, it's a direct investment in one property. And essentially, we, as RealtyWealth.com, we will manage that investment for them. So, you get quarterly investments. We have an online the proprietary dashboard that the investor, so globally, can go onto the platform. They can log in, they can monitor their investments, they can make investments, they can typically track their investments, they can see, they can do all their tax documentation through there as well. So I think it's really what's happened with the internet. It's made, especially real estate, it's made it very transparent.
Bryan, the property selection criteria, is that something that's always evolving or continuously on the hunt for new potential properties? We're very focused on, as I said, the net lease market, and we're very focused on international brands like KFC, Starbucks, that South African investors and international investors typically know and understand. I think the real features and benefits of these net lease properties are their long-term leases. So they're between 10 and 15 or 10 and 20-year leases. The tenant itself provides a corporate guarantee for the lease. So if they decide to leave that property after 6 years, they would typically have to pay for the remainder of the lease. If it's a 10-year lease, they typically have to do a payout to the landlord for the remaining 4 years of the lease. And the nice thing for the investor or for the landlord is they typically own the real estate at the end of the day. That was Bryan Smith, co-founder of RealtyWealth.